to ask away. And then at the end, we will cover all the questions at one time. And we will also be doing any live website reviews. So if you are brave enough to have your website reviewed by us, so that everybody else can kind of get more value from it as well, seeing it live, then we will do that at the end as well. So Katie, if you want to start by introducing yourself.
Definitely. So, hi everyone and welcome. I'm Katie Williamson. And just a couple housekeeping things. If you guys haven't used Zoom before, there is a way that you can hit mute at the bottom. So that way, if you're typing or anything, or your phone rings, we don't have to hear all of that background noise. And then there is a chat as well. So you guys can just hit the chat and you can private message people or just talk to everyone in the group. Okay, so as I said, I'm Katie, and I run Katie Williamson Web and Social Media Consulting, which, to be honest, I don't do much social media consulting anymore. But what I really love to do is help people make websites that work for them. And I work primarily with female creative entrepreneurs, and we work to get their websites pretty yet functional. And I also really love to educate and share my knowledge.
Well, thank you. So she is obviously more the strategy part of the website, and I'll be covering more of the design side. I am a brand and website designer, primarily for wedding industry professionals and photographers and some coaches. So I guess we will go ahead and jump right in. No fluff webinar. So the first thing that we wanted to kind of go over, which is a general rule of thumb, I call it the 10-second test. I've heard it referred to as like the grunt test, which basically if a caveman can't get on your website and be like, oh, this is what you do, then you need to do some rearranging on your website. So the 10-second test, basically what it is if somebody lands on your website, within the first 10 seconds, they should be able to tell what you offer, who it is you serve, and what do you want them to do next? How do they buy? If that's what you want them to do next, book a consultation, whatever your main call to action is. So that's the 10-second test. I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of those points, Katie.
I muted myself. No, I mean, typically, like as I always say, like above the fold kind of, and you want people to be able to know all the things that Amanda said as quickly as possible. So it's definitely like a good rule of thumb to make sure that, when people hop on your site, they can get it pretty quickly.
And so with that, the how do you buy, which is basically your call to action, I recommend that people have it at least 3 places on their homepage. So the best place is in the top right-hand corner. That's a really good place to put a button. Again, once more above the fold, kind of maybe somewhere in the middle. And then at least one more time on your homepage. Mm-hmm. Basically, what you really want to be doing with your website is leading people where you want them to go. It should tell a story. People shouldn't be clicking around your website kind of wandering around. You should be pointing them in the direction that you want them to go.
Most definitely. And as you're thinking about the layout of your website too, and like you said, like the top right-hand corner is a great place for a call to action button. And it makes sense because, or like think about it, we read right to left. So when you arrive on a page, you're going to start in that top left-hand corner and your eyes are going to track over to the right. I'm doing it backwards. But basically, when people look at on a website, it's kind of like they end up in like an F pattern. So think about like those are like the areas of your site that people are looking at the most. So it's kind of in an F. So if all the stuff at the very top in your navigation, people are looking at, and then they'll skim down your page a little bit. And then if you have a call to action kind of in that middle top part, they'll see that. And then they'll keep scrolling down your page or scanning down your page. So it's good to think about that. And if the call to actions that you have if you're doing an opt-in or something, make them all the same. Don't do like 5 different ones, because you won't be able to tell, because it will be really hard to see. I mean, I guess you could see, like, oh, well, they keep going and clicking on this one, in the top right-hand corner, but is that because they're just seeing that one first, or they're really interested in it? So I definitely recommend, if you're doing an opt-in, to keep everything on your homepage the same, so that way it doesn't get confusing for people, and you can kind of test it out. So when you change it out, you can change each button to a different opt-in.
Yeah. And as far as design wise goes with your call to action buttons, if you stick within your brand color palette, you want to make sure that, say you have 3 colors, for example, you have blue, green, and yellow. If everything on your page is green and blue, then I would make your call to action buttons yellow, so that they really stick out from all the other content, and they're basically saying, like, click me.
Definitely.
So the next point that we wanted to cover is your navigation, which is super important, obviously. So there's a couple of tips that we wanted to say. Is the first one is make sure that your navigation is mobile friendly. If I go to a person's website on my phone and everything is like super small that I can't even read it, and my thumb is clicking other buttons that I'm not trying to press, that's just aggravating, and people are going to click off your site. Katie,
Google definitely is not a fan of websites that aren't mobile friendly. So if your site isn't, I definitely recommend reworking your theme, or working with a designer, a developer, to make your site mobile friendly. And Google actually has a place that you can go to see if they consider your site mobile friendly. So we can definitely I can put that link in the chat in a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But in terms of your navigation, I mean, it really is, like we were saying, like everything that you do on your site should be very intentional, and you want to lead people to specific places. So you need to think about that with your navigation as well. And so first, I always recommend having a home button on your navigation, because you want people to be able to easily get back to your homepage. And along with that, I also think if you have your logo at the top, make sure that can get back to the homepage as well, because people are really used to clicking on that. So that way there's 2 ways that people can get to your homepage right away. Because if people are like navigating through your site and then they decide, oh, I wanted to go to that thing I saw on the homepage, or they get lost in your site, then it's really easy for them to go back to the homepage and kind of start over.
Yeah. And another thing to avoid that I see some of my clients are doing, I think it's really a wedding industry thing, I think, for the most part. They think it's really cute to put fun names in the navigation bar. And it is really cute, but it's also really confusing. So an example of that is like love stories, and it will actually be like reviews or something, or talk to me, and it'll be like your contact page. It's super cute, yes, but it's also confusing, and your navigation needs to be direct, like home, about, contact. Whenever I go to a navigation bar, I'm looking for something that I want to go to, and I just want to read, okay, about page, click, like that's what I'm looking for. I see you put that in the chat box.
Yeah, it's through the mobile friendly link in the chat box. Yeah, definitely make sure that you name your navigation normal, common terms, because the other reason to do that is because it's good for SEO as well, because Google is going to be able to know what the about page is versus whatever weird name you choose to name it, or whatever Love Notes is. So definitely use common terms. And then when you're putting your navigation bar together, don't have more than 7 choices, at least like on like your main navigation. I mean, 7 is a big number as well. I typically recommend like 5 or less, or 6 is okay too, depending on how you want to break it up. But the reason that it's 7 is your short-term memory only holds, typically, your short-term memory only holds 7 items. So you can only remember 7 like things at once. So if you have more than 7 choices, it can be really difficult and overwhelming to people that are visiting your site. So keep those choices to a minimum, and then kind of figure out, like, work with a designer or figure out a way to have secondary navigation or on your footer if you have more choices that you need to put out there, or
Yeah.
drop downs.
Which that kind of leads into the next point, which is your footer. So for both your navigation and your footer, you need to make sure that you have easy to read fonts. So stay away from like super script, like handwriting fonts. You want to make them easy to read. So either like, what's a good one? Helvetica, Arial,
Yeah.
Fair, Display is a good one. Those are fonts. If you didn't know, those are fonts that are good to use, that are easy to read. But a footer is a great place to put additional pages that maybe don't have room for in your main navigation. So, for example, my own website. In my main navigation, I keep it really simple with, the home, about, portfolio, reviews, contact. But then I also have, a Facebook group that I run, or email marketing, like a freebie. And I put all of those in my footer, because without it, then your main navigation starts to get way too cluttered. And like Katie said, your brain is like, I don't know what to do, click off.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, footer notes.
Yes, the footer is also another great page to put down. There is your terms of service and your privacy policy, and everyone should have probably both of those. So your terms of service is basically going to go over like your copyright information, and if someone wants to use your images on their site, it has all that good stuff. And then your privacy policy is if you're collecting email addresses or if you sell anything, then basically you're going to let people know how you're using their information, and letting them know that you're not selling it to to whoever wants to buy it. So make sure you have those 2 pages, or you can put it all on one page. But those are really important as well, that I feel like a lot of people forget sometimes.
Yeah.
And going back to, so this is really for any button. So, it's much better to read or to use like a legible font, like you were saying, like Arial or Helvetica. But if you do have a font that maybe is a little, I don't know, but whatever, whatever font you pick for your navigation, don't make a image and then make a little button out of it. Make sure that the font, like that you actually have it typed out on the page. So you don't want to make buttons that are little images, unless it's like has a picture on it or something, because it's not good for your SEO. And if that image is missing or whatever, or it gets unlinked, then that's an issue. That looks not as pretty on your website. So
Chelsea said, can you do that on your homepage?
what do you mean?
And then also, while she's typing more specifics, people really forget, she said, like, make an image as a button.
So yeah, you can, but you don't want to, like, especially on your navigation, you don't want, so people don't do it as much anymore, but if you had like some like really pretty scripty font that you wanted to use for your navigation, which you shouldn't, but if you wanted to, if people couldn't get that font on their site, then they'd type out, about, and then they'd make like a little image of it, and then they'd make it a button instead of just using the text. And so you can use other things. So like you could use like a picture of yourself as a button to get to your about page, like lower down, like on the page or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that won't hurt your SEO if you have an image that links to something else.
Mhm.
I think we answered your question. If we
That
didn't,
okay.
if we didn't,
Sorry.
I was trying to give an example. Okay, good, but I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. So I will move on. For a footer too, a lot of people forget to I don't know, and not necessarily forget. They don't think that their footer needs to be organized or designed per se. And the footer is actually, since it pops up on every single page of your website, which this is where working with the designer really comes in handy, as because they think of these types of things. It's a really good place to design a really nicely laid out menu that also has, I've seen it become really popular lately, and I think it's a great idea. In the like bottom left hand corner of their footer, they'll say like, I work with creative female entrepreneurs to brand their business or something. They have like a really simple one sentence thing that of what they do, and I think that's phenomenal. And whenever I'm scrolling, like, it's just a really added benefit to put to your footer. And like you said, designing with intention, that's just like a really great piece that a lot of people don't do, but it's great to add.
I love that idea. Definitely. And I think the other thing to put in the footer, maybe like on the right, is either your contact information or a link to your contact page. Because I think a lot of people like forget about the footer on their website and they
Yeah.
just don't use it at all. And it can be such a valuable place for information, because if I'm going to like, if I'm trying to figure out like something like where like a restaurant is, or if I want to call them, a lot of times I'll just go to the footer because I expect their contact information to be there. And so I normally, if I'm looking for contact stuff, I'll look at the bottom of the footer like right away. And if I don't see it, I'm like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I totally agree. That is, because a lot of people, I didn't realize that a lot of people don't like to use the comment boxes on the contact page, or it like makes you fill out everything. Like sometimes people just want to email you to ask you a question, or they don't want to fill out 7 different boxes just to ask you a quick question. So having your just email address on the homepage is phenomenal.
Or really on your contact page too, because if someone just has a quick question, maybe they don't want to fill out a whole inquiry form or like tell you about their design needs, because they don't need that.
I ran into that the other day. I wanted to contact somebody, and it was like a photographer, and it was like, what's your groom's name? Where are you getting married at? What's your event date? And I was like, I just want to ask you a question. Like, I'm not getting married. And I couldn't find their email address. So I had to fill out all this like nonsense and be like, yeah, I just want to ask you this.
Definitely a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. Okay, so I think if you have any more questions about the homepage, type them in the side box. We're actually going to move on to your about page, which is one of my favorite pages because people are so afraid of them and they don't understand how to use an about page. I love about pages. Anyways, so the misconception that a lot of people have about an about page is that it is about yourself, which is not exactly the case. So I use the rule of thumb. It is 80% about your client or your visitor and 20% about you. So the first part of your about page, right whenever somebody comes to your about page, needs to call out who your ideal client is, who do you service, what their main problem or pain point is, and how you solve it. That needs to be the first thing that they read as soon as they go to your about page. And then basically the rest of your about page is about how you make your client's life easier. What service do you provide that, once again, points out their main problem or pain point in detail. You want to make them feel as if you really understand what they're going through, how it makes them feel, why their life is so terrible with this problem, and then how you make their life easier. What do you do that solves that problem? What's their life look like once they hire you or your product, or they buy your product? And then at the end, your call to action. So do you want them to contact you? Do you want them to book a consultation call? Do you want them to download a freebie? Whatever that is, like, you got them, your about page should be like hyping them up. They should be like, oh yes, you totally understand my problem. Oh my gosh, yes. They should be going down your about page and be like, yes, 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 yes. And then and they should be like, click. Whatever it is, I'm getting it. Whatever it is, I'm doing it. Do you have any points? See, I get hyped up about pages. Do you have any points to add?
I mean, definitely like add like your personality, like that's like the place like where you want your personality to shine through. And I mean, definitely like, you know, do like share something about yourself, you know, like share some stuff about yourself.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, definitely like you like want to appeal. So like, I think the about page, I mean, your whole site should either get people to be like, yes, I really want to work with this person, or no, I like this person looks crazy to me. I have no desire to work with this person. So, I mean, so sharing your personality there and like really, you know, like letting your true colors shine through, and then on your about page, and then like really like speaking to them is definitely what you want to do for sure.
Yeah.
And yes, like a call to action and like a way to contact you or your social media, all that good stuff. I think is always a good thing to have.
Yeah. So I lay it out. Like I said, your main, I have like a fly buzzing around here. So you have your ideal client, their main pain point, how you solve it, and then more like in depth about their problem and how you solve it. And then the call to action. And then underneath the call to action is where I put more about me, like personal stuff. And then you can put the call to action again if you want. I mean, no shortage of call to actions.
I mean, I definitely think that people forget call to actions on their about page. I think I have one, but I might not. So
Yeah, no, a lot of people forget call to actions on their about page. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, how you want to lead your followers where you want them to go. So maybe you don't have a call to action at the bottom. Maybe you want them to go to your services page. So at the bottom, I guess that is a call to action, but it will be different than your other ones. It will be like, view my services. Okay, and then that actually is perfect to what it leads to. Yeah, your services. So, Katie, if you want to go ahead and.
So when you are laying out your services page, it's definitely a great place. Well, you want it to start out like, you want it to be clear, and don't make it like super cluttered, and you want to like once again kind of speak to their pain points and how you can make their life better as well. And then break it down into, typically Amin and I both recommend having like 3 different services, or like 3 tiers of your service. So depending on what type of work you do, I know for invitations it's a little it's a little different, but I mean, you might have like 3 different invitation packages. So it's like the gold, or like the bronze, the silver, and then the gold, or whatnot, and just like levels of service that you can offer through your invitation packages. And with that, well, do you want to say more, Amanda? Sorry. Just go on.
So another thing with your services that I actually see people asking this a lot. Should I include my prices or shouldn't I? And there's kind of like a sweet spot. I always say include out what your starting price is. A lot of people, they want custom quotes. So if you just have like, and I'll use Jacqueline for example, like invitation suites start at $1,000 or whatever it is. Then, you know, somebody comes and they only have a budget of 500, they don't have to contact you because they already know that you're out of their budget.
No, I definitely agree with that too, because they're not wasting their time or your time. Being
Yeah.
like, well, could you do this for me for, no, I can't. Like, it says it right there. And I think that like we all need to be more comfortable like with our prices and sharing our prices to an extent in the creative industry. So I think it's okay to put your prices on your site and go from there. Um, and depending on like how in-depth your services are and how different they are, I also recommend, depending, if you have 3 different services, then have a link to click to a different page. So that way, then it takes you to a different page that just has like that whole service like flushed out. So depending on how long your sales pages are and, how different your services are, if it's just like, you get 1 more hour with me, you may not need like a totally separate sales page. But for some services or products, I think that it's really important to have different sales pages as well.
Yeah.
So it just depends on if it lends itself to your services.
Which is also, if you have a very broad package price difference. So if one of your packages is like $500, but then another one is like $5,000, talking to somebody who's at a $500 budget is going to be a lot different of a conversation than talking to somebody who's at a $5,000 budget. So having 2 separate sales pages, you can really talk to them differently. And so that's another good reason to maybe have separate sales pages, depending on, like you said, if it's right for your business.
Definitely. Yeah. Trying to put like a $500 product or like a 200 and then a 5,000 definitely would lend itself to different sales pages for sure.
And then last page, which everybody has, is the contact page. So the contact page is obviously really short to the point. Not a lot of information goes on there. Which one thing that I do want to highlight is, I think we've already stated this before, is having your email address on there separate from your contact form.
Definitely. So I love or statistics. And so I'm just going to read you guys these. 51% of people think thorough contact information is the most important element missing from many company websites. So when you're looking at your site, think if people want to get a hold of me, is what they need there. So, I mean, for a lot of us, we're not putting our phone numbers or anything unless you have a physical location. But think, is it easy for people to contact me? Especially like, are you giving them like different ways to contact you? And then 44% of website visitors will leave a company's website if there is no contact information or phone number. So people find contact information really important. So don't forget to have to put your email address, to put your social media handles as well. I think the contact page is a great place to put your social media handles as well, because it's like kind of like different ways for people to contact you. So like, while I don't want someone to contact me via Facebook, but if someone wants to learn more about me and different things, I think that's a great place to put that information.
Yeah.
And there are so many places you can put your contact information. You can put it in your header, in your footer, on your contact page. If you have a blog, you can put it in your blog sidebar. You can put it on your about page. On any pages, really any pages with forms that we were talking about. You could put in the top, like if you have a question or if you're, having an issue, like just send me an email and ask. Really any place that people might have questions is a great place for you to put your email or just some way for people to contact you, or like a link to your contact page.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Like if people are going to have questions, like if you have an FAQ page at the bottom, like have another question, like email me here.
Yeah. And they're definitely, this sounds terrible. People are lazy, which I even find that even like on Instagram. So a lot of photographers, I see this happen is on their Instagram page, they don't put where, like, they service an area, obviously, and they don't put where they're from. They don't put,
Oh,
like, I
yes.
am an Austin, Texas photographer. You're losing so many clients because people are not going to go on your website, which I've even gone to people's websites for because I was curious, and they don't have it anywhere there. I have no clue where you're located at, and you are a service-based business. You are losing so much business just from that, like, one flaw.
Yeah.
So if you are a service-based business, put where you service, what area you service on your homepage, on your about page, on your contact page, on your social media. People need to know where the heck you're located at.
Yeah, it's like, especially for like location dependent services. Like for us, it's not as important, but I still always want to know where people are, partly
Yeah.
because I'm nosy. But I think it can be important sometimes, especially like to make connections with people as well. Like, hey, like I've always wanted to go to Austin, or different things like that. So just put where you are on your site.
And then another thing I like to have on my contact page is like a freebie. So if you're trying to build your email marketing list, underneath like the contact form or maybe beside it, put, like, get weekly tips straight to your email box, like put in information. It's just another way to kind of continue that relationship and continue people getting to know you, is by them opting into your email list. It has just another way for them to, kind of stay in the forefront of their mind, is by you popping into their email box.
Yep, exactly.
So anything else that we didn't cover?
Well, so basically, I mean, just always make sure that you're leading your audience throughout your entire website and like think about that. And then I recommend that ask a friend who's never looked at your website before, or have your mom review your site and kind of like move through it and see if it's user friendly. And is it confusing your mom? Then maybe you have a problem, because you want to be able to fairly easily move through your website.
Which another good, there's a free service which I use with my clients after I build their site. I'm trying to get the URL. So what it is, you submit your site, and they have, like, somebody who's never gone to your site before, go through and do a free review of it. So it's a video, and you'll see the actual person going through your website and what their thoughts are. I'll post that in the sidebar. And it's free to use. I think you can use it like 3 times a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use it as many times as you want. Hold on, let me try that again.
And it is a good, Peak is great. I mean, just remember that it's not necessarily your like ideal client using the site. So like sometimes you're like, you're such an idiot. Like, what do you mean? Like I've had that where I'm like, But I mean, if they can't figure out like how to get from A to B, then that's problematic.
Yeah, or I've done it sometimes where I notice that links are broken. They're clicking something, they're like, it's not going anywhere. I'm like, oh, that link is broken, or oh, it's taking them to the wrong page. So yeah, it might not be your ideal client, but you'll be able to see if people are, easily navigating throughout your website, or if they're getting hung up or they can't find something. And then Jacqueline asks, are blogs necessary?
So, okay, Jacqueline. So here's the skinny. So I don't, yes and no, to our blogs necessary. I would say that if you have, like, the reason I would say you should have a blog or whatnot is because it's really good for SEO. And when you're adding new content that's valuable content, then Google will see that and will like keep wanting to put you like showing up for results. We'll keep ranking you, like when someone says Southern Indiana wedding invitation designer. So I say that if you can do a blog, yes, I definitely recommend it. And I know it can be overwhelming, but tell yourself you have to write one blog post a month and basically like stick to that schedule, because if you're blogging one time a month, Google will recognize that and say she's going to put out new content once a month. So it's not like you have to be blogging every day or once a week, but if you can crank out one blog post a month, then that's enough for Google to eventually like get your pattern down, and then you'll be refreshing, like you'll be adding new content. And it's like a great place to put keywords in there so that way you can get more ideal clients. So, with what you do too, so maybe my question, Jacqueline, for you is that, is it a time thing that you don't have enough time, or do you feel like you don't have any ideas?
I'm just going to take the microphone off because it'll be easier.
Yeah.
It is both. It is time management and a matter of what I'm supposed to be putting on there. I'm slowly getting feedback from people on what they're looking for as far as invitations. And I've been putting stuff out on Instagram to see what kind of comments I'm getting or what kind of reaction I'm getting, and I'm not getting anything. So I don't even know what I need to be posting as far as a blog. And everything that I've been hitting lately that I noticed a reaction towards is the fact that I'm a mommy and a stay-at-home mom, which has nothing to do with my invitations. Although it's nice, it's awesome to have that support. I really, really love that support. Amanda knows I love that support. But at the same time, I don't want them to think of me just as a stay-at-home mom that makes fabulous invitations. I want them to really want me for my invitations and the fact that I'm sitting here designing them by hand, or I'm actually taking the time as their own personal designer to create something nice for them. Even though my kids are next to me, it doesn't mean that that it's about my babies.
And so you're typically designing wedding invitations, or are you doing other?
Most of my money's coming from the wedding invitations. I do birthdays, and I do baby showers and other type of showers, but I want my biggest chunk of money to come from the wedding.
Sure. I mean, and I think that, in terms of blog posts and stuff, that putting that putting that you're a stay-at-home mom, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you're right. That's not going to bring in any money. It doesn't really help. And so I think that in terms of the type of content, the one thing that I feel like comes up all the time is invitation etiquette, and do we put this or do we put that? So I mean, always sharing that information. If there's a couple that will let you share their invitation suite, maybe some photos from their wedding, if they're willing to give you that. If there's a suite of invitations that you just love, maybe you can get the photographer's image, where they style it all pretty and put some photos from the wedding, and then kind of say look at how great this works with the wedding overall. You could write a blog post talking about your process and how you work with your clients. So there's all sorts of blog post ideas. I can go on and on.
Step back and really think of it from afar versus.
I mean, definitely. I mean, you could ask. I mean, send a survey out, or just send an email to a couple of your past clients and say, hey, when you were looking for an invitation designer, what type of blog post would have been helpful for you? Because definitely think about it, what would my ideal client want to see on my blog?
Or get in bridal Facebook groups and ask them what would you want to know from an invitation designer, or because you want to think about your ideal client is obviously brides, so you want to see it from their perspective and what they want to see. So maybe it's doing every other blog post, one from a wedding, kind of as a portfolio, but then also adding in that content that's helpful. I had a really good one in mind now. I can't think of it. I was yes, I want to know that. But I think the process one is great, because I think a lot of people think this might just be my own thinking. I don't know. I don't see that invitation designers are like a custom designer, like they're sitting there like hand making your invitations, but I never hired one. So I think a lot of it is education too, educating your future clients.
Exactly.
Did anybody else have any questions? If you want to put them in the chat box or unmute yourself and talk. And also, if you want us to do a live website review, if you are brave enough, I promise you we will not be mean. Then put your website URL, and then Katie is going to share her screen so that we can all like look at it together. Put your website URL in the side.
Okay, this is Chelsea. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. Like all these little chat boxes everywhere. Okay.
Look at that call to action right in the top right hand corner.
Very nice.
That's the very first thing that my eye went to.
I might have gone there, but I had a box over it, so sorry. And so let's see. Yeah, I like that a lot. It looks really nice. You have a really nice, simple navigation.
Yeah. The one thing that just like the top of my head that I see first is it says start branding your business today, but who do you primarily work with? So I would kind of nail down who your ideal client is a little bit more. So I do branding as well. So for mine, it starts out, it says brand design and strategy for wedding industry professionals and photographers. So they automatically know whenever they go there, bingo, or you're not for me.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Based on that comment for sure, definitely make sure that you let people know like who you want to be working with.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like how clean everything is and how you're sticking to a color palette.
Mm-hmm.
You not really how many people I go to their websites and they have like 30 different colors. And I'm like, what is going on?
A nice like clean typography.
Mm-hmm. So once again, there's like you can expand on your footer so much and put, once again, I see you have a mission statement. So you can even put your mission statement like in the bottom left-hand corner and your email address. So from right now, the footer, you could add a lot more content to, and it will take your website just like one step up.
Yep, definitely. Okay. So let's see. I'm just clicking these. Okay, so basically this learn more button takes people to your services. But up here,
To take action.
Oh, okay, I see. I didn't hover over that. So I don't know. So I definitely would take your services out of the about for sure. And
make it another.
Yeah, I definitely.
But another thing is I would say the learn more would take you to what we do, because I feel like I'm on a first date with you and automatically you're like trying to get engaged to me on our first date. I like want to know a little bit more about you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Because right here you have about as well, I guess. So you could do the mission like under. So what we do, this is your mission statement. And then I would definitely like lead them to your services like right here.
Yeah. And I would put picture of who you are. I would there's no picture of you anywhere. Like I feel disconnected from you. I feel like you're a big box company, like you, which I don't. That might be the feeling that you're going for. Which, if it is, great job. I maybe that's just me personally. Katie, you can give your opinion. I like to see people who I'm working with.
Definitely. Because you want people to know or realize that there is a person behind this, behind your website, that it's not just a website. It's not just like some big company, you know.
Yeah. It's just
That's what you were going for. It was a company, not just me, which, I mean, I think that's okay, but I mean, then you could still say, you know, you could still call yourself the founder or whatnot.
You still could, yeah, owner, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and still put like a blurb about yourself, and then still refer to your company about like us or you know
Mm-hmm.
like the.
Yep. Because I mean, if you go and look at any like design firm sites, they're all going to put like, I think that that's how like a lot of them, like the people that run them are what make them different and what make them stand out. And so I definitely would recommend, you know, putting your image or, you know, like making it personal so that way people can connect with you, because otherwise your website's not cold, but I mean, you want them to, you know, feel connected to something.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not cold at all.
So.
Okay, so we have the 3-tier packages, which we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest just adding the starting at prices. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously they'll probably end up getting a custom quote. But I noticed I used to not have starting prices on my website, and I noticed that once I did end up putting okay, so it's right there whenever you click on it. I would put them on the package homepage, because that now I have to go through and click each package in order just to see the price.
Mm-hmm.
Which once people are lazy, and that creates more work for them.
And Chelsea, is there a reason that you have these in PDFs? Are you planning on actually making these pages of your site and you just haven't had a chance? Because I definitely would make sure that, you know, your packages are actual pages of your website, and you know, and then like you have these PDFs if you needed to email it to someone, but I definitely would make them pages of your site.
Is that the biggest reason is for SEO?
Definitely that's a good SEO thing, because otherwise this is just going to show up as a file, and I mean, then you also like lose the navigation, and there's no way for anyone to contact you, or, you know, like how are people going to buy this? So you definitely want, you know, a page so that way it's like, contact me, or like, you know, reserve your spot now. So it's definitely good for SEO, but then you want it to have something down here, you know, like a call, you know, have a call to action so that way people can take action on your package.
All right.
And let's see, so project. So I'm assuming that's your portfolio. Nice. I do like, I like that you put the images of the websites like on the screens, because it makes it feel very real. Like it's not just, you know, it makes it feel like a real brand, I guess, which they are. But okay. And so this page you have, it's portfolio. Let's see. And I definitely would always include some information on the information, or like on like the brand that you were working with, or like what the project was that you were doing, basically.
Yeah. And I would have on the portfolio at the bottom, once again, a call to action.
Mm-hmm. Yep, like see packages here.
Yeah.
All that. And so you do have some information here. Oh, look, she has a video. That's very fancy too.
fancy.
Okay. And so maybe another recommendation that I have would just be that you have your projects here and then maybe say, see more projects or like view more, because I feel like even though you're calling this projects, I feel like I'm already
On your portfolio.
on your portfolio. So it's kind of confusing. So maybe call, say see more projects or something like that. And maybe these ones are just your spotlight projects. Okay. And contact. I definitely would pull out your contact and put it in. So I definitely would put your services and your contact in your navigation bar. And,
Which awesome. She has where she's located at and her email address.
Yep, most definitely. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And let's see. News. So is news something that you're going to use as a blog? If you are, I definitely would recommend naming it blog instead. And yeah, do you have any other thoughts or comments, Amanda?
No. Let's see. She said, this is my blog, but I don't know really what to blog. So once again, similar to what we were saying for Jacqueline, is think of your ideal client. So, process is always a good one. Maybe 5 questions to ask before you hire a designer. I'm trying to think what else would be a good, like, starting out blog post. I make a blog post out of any brand or website that I launch. Go more in depth about the client and what the process was, and add their testimonial in the blog post, and have a way for them to contact me straight from the blog post.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I guess I can't really leave. Well, do you have any other questions for us or anything you want us to look at, Chelsea?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I really I don't know exactly like a specific person of who I want my audience to be. I just kind of been just going off of whoever. So is like there a certain way I'm supposed to go about that and kind of like connecting to just a certain specific group of people?
Amanda,
So are
you
you
have a challenge like all about that, right? Kind of.
Oh, yeah. I haven't announced it yet, but
Sorry.
I'm doing a free 5-day. No, it's cool. I'm doing a free 5-day challenge later in the month of August, which will help identify who your ideal client is. Are you just now like starting out your business? So have you worked with a type of person that you really enjoy, or?
I really just I just graduated from college in a degree of graphic design, and I just started like hey, why don't I just go on my own and create my own company. So right now I'm starting off as myself, and then later on, hopefully, if I get my clientele big, I can hire more people on and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you could start out kind of more broad and just say, maybe like female entrepreneurs or creatives, or, something that's not too specific, but also narrows it down somewhat. Or product-based businesses. I'm trying to think of something that's like more specific, but not totally, closed off.
And when I was in college, I really liked the fashion. Like, it was really hard for me to get away from doing like fashion design and designing like high fashion type of designs. So I was kind of thinking like maybe I can move up towards that of like maybe a model needs a website, and I can go like make a website for her or make a magazine or something along the lines of that.
if you have a passion and a skill set and you can put those two together, then that's your sweet spot.
Okay.
So if you really have a passion and you like designing for the high-end fashion people or fashion in general, then I would create a brand around something that would attract people like that and have it on your website and call out to who you want to work with.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Okay, so now we can go to Jacqueline's site. Is this still showing Chelsea's site?
No,
Oh, okay.
you're on Jacqueline's.
Yay. Okay.
Right. So I would definitely have that I know it's kind of I can't think of what word I want to use. Kind of evident. There you go. Evident that you make invitations, but I would put that in the top, like where you say Northwest Indiana. I'd say Northwest Indiana invitation designer, where you can make it even more. I just realized she's walking you right now. You can make it even more evident what you do. I don't know if you caught that or not. No.
Yeah, I agree with you that I would put Northwest. Oh, I call it like Southern Indiana. Northwest Indiana invitation designer, and then maybe put those two things like on the next line or something, because I feel like everything to an extent almost runs together. Like it's a lot of information right away. So maybe even put that
In the second line. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like in your footer, like right here or over here.
Yeah. So once
Wow.
again, you can put a lot more information in your footer than what's already there. What we were saying, I don't know if you caught it. I said that I know it's kind of evident already that you design invitations, but just so that there's like no confusion whatsoever, put Northwest Indiana invitation designer.
Mm-hmm. Or wedding invitation designer.
Yeah. And that also helps with SEO too.
Definitely. And especially if you're putting wedding invitation designer, then it will definitely like say who your ideal client is. So I like the slider. And I feel like it gives you like a good idea of your style and the type of clients that you might work with. And
right away though, I am a little bit like confused of where I should go next. You have view gallery, you have view pricing, you have your whole menu at the top. So I'm not really sure where you want me to go next.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely would curate your call to action and decide, if you maybe like right here. And sometimes you can even put calls to action. Is this a Squarespace site or WordPress? Squarespace. You can sometimes even put like a call to action like on the image, and it can be the same one. But I definitely would pick like a very specific call to action that you want people to take after looking at this. So, okay. Like the pictures. And sorry, going back to your homepage, I definitely think like this is kind of the same for Chelsea too. We said, I mean, I love seeing who someone is on their homepage. So since you're designing your invitations, put your picture like down here so that way, and you kind of like introduce yourself and let people know that you will be designing their invitations, that you will be like hand drawing. I'm like, where is that? Like you'll be like doing like these hand drawings. So those are really fun, and I think people would like that.
Chelsea said she has to go. We could put our websites on there.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us, Chelsea.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't downloaded the freebies that you get I'm going to send out a link with the webinar replay so you can watch this again if you want, and you can download the freebies as well from that email that I sent out.
Awesome. Okay. So do you have any other comments on the homepage?
Nope.
Okay. So sorry, we'll go back to the process. Okay. So I love that you have your process broken down. And I would say if you can, make it even easier to skim through.
Yeah.
Like use some bullet points because like we talked about, people are lazy and they don't always, they're like, oh my gosh, what a huge paragraph. So like break out those like really important things. And something else that could be really cool is like a little graphic or something, almost like a little map, like showing people like you're going to start here and then you'll go and you'll do the design and completion and follow up. So
Yeah.
You could do those kind of fun things as well.
Yeah, always think less text, more graphics.
Exactly. And I do think that's nice, the download that you have. Definitely make sure it opens in a new window because now people are away from your site. That's great that you have your contact information on there. And I was thinking that that download could be something really cool, like a checklist or something almost like that it can be useful. So like if they're working, when they choose to work with you, then they can go through everything.
I just started that one. I as Amanda was saying with the freebies, I just finished the checklist timeline for the brides. I have a bridal brunch in August that we have to hand information out, and it's more of an informative brunch. So instead of me really actually hiring bride or getting brides and clients out, it's to inform them. So I do have the timeline. I just need to get my brochure set up so that way I can do that too as a freebie. And there's one other thing I needed to do as a freebie because I wanted at least 3 things for them to at least click. But it's on my list. It's on my to-do list.
Yay. I know, our never-ending to-do list. I understand.
Yes.
I understand completely. Okay, let's see. Gallery.
I would move, but looking at your bar. Oh, you can go to that page. It doesn't matter. Looking at your navigation bar, I would move your about page either like before or after our process. I always like to have contact page last in the navigation bar.
Yeah, and really, I like the about page to be first because it's about people. So people want to know about you and who you are. So I move that to the front, and then the process, and then I'd put your packages next, and then do the gallery, and then have the contact last. But I mean, this is nice that it's like nice and broken up into different segments, so that way people can say, I'm a bride. That's what I'm looking for. And let's see. It's a great image. And sorry, I have all these silly windows open. I guess, kind of like what we were talking about, I would definitely recommend, just putting some information about, each specific like package or like basically like what you did for the invitations. And we haven't looked at your packages yet, but if it's like a specific package or like something about the couple and how you worked with them. So give like a little bit more information so that way they're not just looking at this, beautiful invitation photo. You're giving them a little bit more information they can grab onto.
And are we on the portfolio?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were on wedding packages or.
No, but let's go there now. Okay.
Okay, so this is a great place, like we talked about. You have, once again, the 3-tier packaging, which is great. I put the starting prices on here. So once again, it's kind of similar to Chelsea. Now I have to go through and click on every single package to know which one fits within my budget, which is extra work, which goes back to people are lazy. So we want to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I'd put like, like a little bit of information about the package and, saying what your Lux package starts at. And I definitely, just like I told Chelsea, make this a page on your website. My gosh, I told you guys to make sure to mute yourselves when my phone's ringing. I definitely would put this as a page on your website because it's better for SEO. It's much easier for people to contact you and
Which
all that good stuff.
Chelsea's not on here anymore, but I just kind of, this came to my mind. So you can make all 3 packages of these into one PDF. And then whenever people fill out your contact form, you can send them an email back automatically that says, thank you, we got your request, we'll respond to you within 24 hours. In the meantime, check out our packages and have that as one PDF that sends to them so they can kind of be looking through what they want before you even talk to them.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's a great piece of advice. Yeah. Because right now, if people click on it, then they have to make sure they go back. But and I know that your contact information is right there, but our favorite line, people are lazy.
Yeah.
So
that's, if you didn't get anything else out of this webinar, just remember people are lazy.
Yep. Contact. It's great. I like that you have all of that. And you have your information right there. I would just bring it down and put it here as well.
Yeah. And I like to give an expectation of when people can expect a response back from me. So as soon as I hit submit, it'll come up and it'll say, if you haven't heard from me within 24 hours, please contact me directly at, my email address.
Yep.
Just so people have an expectation.
Yep. And I like contact forms a lot, but I always recommend to make sure once a month your contact form is working the way you expect it to. Okay, let's look at the about page. Look, see, I love the photos here. And the mission, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's you and your sister doing it? So I definitely would make sure from the start that people realize that it's you and your sister that design these invitations too, because I think that makes that's a pretty cool part of your business. So put that from the start.
And I like
introduce yourselves.
Just reading what I have read, it feels like you're talking about who your clients is and what the goal and the mission is, which is great. You're not just here's pictures of me and my sister and all about our childhood.
Yep. Exactly. No, I think that your about page is off to an awesome starter. Yeah. Put some call to actions on there and you'll be good to go. So do you have any other questions, or do you have any questions for us, Jacqueline, or does anyone else have any questions? Talented typing.
Which if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them out and I'll just kind of talk while you have any questions. I'm going to be sending out an email after this, either later tonight, and it will have a link to this. So if you missed the beginning of it, you can go back and watch it. It will be available for 48 hours. And then a link to the freebies as well. Which it might be back in one of your old emails, so you can find them there, but if you didn't get a chance to download them, Katie put in there her summer break list. Did I say that right? Summer break list?
I think so. But it's like basically like if you're going on vacation or, I mean, you can use this any time of year. Like if you're going out of town for a little bit, then it's like a kind of a checklist of things that you should go through to check out your website to make sure it's in good shape before you're gone for a week or whatever.
Yeah, and then I put in there 3 reasons why it's an e-guide of why your website isn't converting more clients or more visitors into clients, and how to fix that. So those are the 2 great freebies that you get for signing up for the webinar. And I guess if nobody else has any more questions, then we will leave it at that.
Yeah, but if you guys do have questions, feel free to send us an email.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope that you got a lot of value out of it.
Yes. Okay. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.